can we explain that?
I have no idea.
You've never been to that house.
Never been
You
to that
don't know
house.
those kids.
I don't know them people.
And your DNA's in that house.
I don't know.
You have no idea?
Nope.
Do you understand where that puts you? Do you understand where this is going?
Hello everyone, I'm Kevin and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. The case today is about a young couple who met a terrible end in their home outside of Toledo, Ohio in early January 2011. It took investigators almost a year to piece together their story and a theory of the crime. In the process, they interviewed a long line of friends, acquaintances, and family members. To force things along, they incentivized cooperation, and to piece things together, they compiled piles of DNA samples. When all was said and done, it was a single cigarette butt left at the scene that led to a conviction. Let's take a look. Johnny Clarke and Lisa Straub began dating in the summer of 2009, shortly after Lisa had graduated from high school. By January 2011, 20-year-old Lisa was working part-time at a TGI Friday restaurant and also taking college courses part-time, while Johnny, 21, was training to become a barber. The couple had rented their own apartment in Toledo for a time, but eventually Lisa moved back into her parents' home on Longacre Lane in Holland, Ohio. In December 2010, Lisa's parents, Jeff and Mary, had allowed Johnny to move into the house as well. The couple had a large group of friends. Lisa was said to be an extremely easygoing and fun person to be around. The young couple had recently adopted a puppy together. In late January 2011, the couple was left with the house to themselves for an extended period when Mary and Jeff left for vacation in Puerto Rico. Johnny and Lisa planned to have some friends over to the house, play some pool, and hang out. On January 30th, 2011, Jeff and Mary Straub had only been away on their pre-planned extended vacation for 3 days. That day, Johnny and Lisa made plans for the night with two friends, young Zach, only 17 years old, and Tiffany Williams, a mutual friend who was living at Zach's home. Lisa was working that night until 10 p.m., so the plan was for Johnny to pick up Lisa at the end of her shift, and then drive out and pick up Zach and Tiffany at their home. Then the group planned to hang out at Lisa's parents' on Longacre Lane. When Johnny hadn't turned up at Zach's house to retrieve the two friends by around 10:30, Tiffany was a bit perplexed, so at 10:41, she calls Johnny. When Johnny answered his cell phone, he did not say hello. Instead, Tiffany said she heard a male voice in the background and heard Johnny exclaim several times, "Who the F are you and what the hell are you doing?"
I want to go over that conversation again in
Okay,
detail.
that's fine.
All right. You called Johnny on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did it ring, you think? Remember?
Once or twice.
Okay,
he
1 to
picked
2
it right up.
rings. Picked it right up.
Mm-hmm.
You know it was Johnny.
Yes.
How long of a pause before he said anything?
He didn't say hello.
All right, so he never said anything.
Never said hello.
So, all right, so you're on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
How long before you hear anything on the phone? What did you?
Like, as soon as he picked it up, he didn't say hello to me, but he was like, "Bro, what are you doing?"
All right, I want to get this down again. Bro, what are you doing? Okay?
Okay, and he said that approximately 3 times.
Okay.
Then the
All right,
next,
give me his voice. Was it, bro, what are you doing? Or, bro, what are you doing?
yeah, just like that.
Was he
Bro,
sounded
yeah.
pissed?
Yeah.
Did he sound scared?
No. Not
He just
scared.
sounded pissed.
Just pissed, yeah.
All right, so you hear, bro, what are you doing 3 times? Johnny sounds pissed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then what'd he say?
Then the next thing he said was, "Who the hell are you?"
How many times?
Once. And then that's when I heard the other person in the background, but I couldn't hear what he was saying.
So you overheard a voice in the
A guy
background.
voice.
You're sure it was a guy?
I'm positive it was a guy.
Have you ever heard it before?
No. Well, I really couldn't tell, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. All right, so then what?
But then he asked again, bro, what are you doing? After he said, whoever.
After the 3 times he said it here, he
then
said it again.
Yeah, and that's when this guy was talking, so that's why I couldn't hear him, is because Johnny was saying, bro, what are you doing once again? You know, if you knew Johnny,
How did he end the conversation with you?
Tiff, I'm gonna call you back, and hung up.
Okay, now.
He
now-
didn't give me a
now
chance
what-
to
now
talk
what
or
does that-
anything.
Okay, he just hangs up, he says he'll call you back.
What Tiffany overheard on the call concerned her, but more than that, she repeatedly called and texted Johnny and Lisa after Johnny disconnected and had no response. Thinking that perhaps Johnny was upset with her and Zach specifically, she contacted other friends and asked them to try Johnny. Maybe he would answer their call. One friend that is contacted by Tiffany is concerned enough to contact Johnny's mother directly, but by the time this occurred, 2 hours had passed since Johnny had abruptly disconnected the call with Tiffany. She and Zach had eventually, after a trip to the corner shop for some cigarettes, as well as a visit to her niece and another friend, driven out to the Straub residence on Longacre to check in on Johnny and Lisa. They arrived at about 12:30 a.m. Tiffany knocked on the Straub's front door and rang the doorbell, but no one answered. She looked in the front door's side lights and said it was unusual that the upstairs interior doors were open and the house's interior lights were on because the rules of the house were to shut the doors behind you and turn off the lights. Tiffany and Zach then left the Straub home, but Tiffany continued to call friends to try to check in. They don't call the police directly because she thinks that Johnny and Lisa were likely to have drugs in the house and she didn't want to get them in trouble. Johnny's mother, Métis Vasquez Clarke, however, wasted no time contacting 911 after hearing of the concerned call and being unable to reach her son. Her call is placed at 1:21 a.m.
Hello,
Toledo 911.
ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
My heart is beating out of my chest. I just got a call from one of my son's friends.
Okay.
This girl said she was on the phone with my son and his girlfriend, and he was supposed to go pick her up. He was telling her he was going out the door, and all she heard was the phone drop and heard my son saying in the background, "Who are you? What do you want? What are you doing here?" And she said she just drove by the house, and the house looks ransacked. All the lights are on. My son's not answering, and neither is the girlfriend.
Okay, but you don't have any idea where your son's at?
He was there at the house with his girlfriend. That's where they're house sitting for her parents.
Okay, but she doesn't. He wasn't there when she went over there.
No. She rang the doorbell and nobody came to the door. Nothing. Oh my God, ma'am, I'm so afraid something happened there. Oh my God.
Deputy Sheriff Daniel Norick responded to the Straub home. He looked in the front door side lights and saw no signs of a struggle. In the back of the house, the television and some lights were on, but there were no signs of distress, forced entry, or suspicious footprints in the snow. He notes a suspicious vehicle, which will later be determined to be Tiffany, driving out to the house to check on things herself. The deputy determined there was nothing else that was suspicious, and he left.
Listen, ma'am, I am a concerned mother. Okay, 4 cop cars were already out at this residence. They're not there, and her car is in the driveway. I want to know where my son's at.
Okay.
I want to know where my son and his girlfriend are at. I want to know if they got abducted by whoever tried to assault them and rob them. And it's pretty funny that this girl named Tiffany, which is there right now by the residence, waits 2 hours to call somebody and report this.
Okay. Well, like I said, we were out there. There was nothing going on there.
Okay, where's my son and his girlfriend and her car's in the driveway?
How would I know that, ma'am?
I need to report my son missing.
Okay. Where are you at?
I'm coming up to the residence right now.
Which residence?
Lisa's house.
Okay. I need an address.
I am. Will you stay on the phone with me, ma'am, while I talk to this girl? Don't touch me.
Okay, who are you going to talk to?
Okay, listen, here's the plate number. That is the girl's, the plate number of the car that this girl is driving that my son was supposedly pick up. I have a feeling you set up my son. My son is missing. He's nowhere to be found.
Deputy Norick had returned to the house and finds his suspicious vehicle was parked in the driveway of the Straub's home. He did not speak with the occupants of the vehicle, but did speak with Johnny's mother, who wanted him to force open the door to the house. Deputy Norick checked the property again, and nothing appeared different than it was the first time he was there, so he left. Tiffany had left the house briefly to pick up Johnny's father and bring him back to the property. He kicked in the front door. When Mr. Clarke entered the house, he found his son and Lisa bound by duct tape with plastic bags secured over their heads, unresponsive in the kitchen.
Son is in the basement, tied up at his house. I just saw him through the window. The police were out here earlier and did absolutely nothing.
Okay, all right, we'll get them out there.
Get them. Cops out here. I told them earlier.
Ma'am, you need to calm down. We'll get them out there. But yelling at me is unconscious.
They're unconscious, ma'am.
I found them and I ripped off the bag off my son's head.
You found them tied up, bound with bags around their head.
Then went to her and did the same.
When officers responded to the home for the third time that night, they found the damage to the door from Mr. Clarke's forced access. They also found Johnny and Lisa lying face up in the kitchen in opposite directions of each other. There were bags on both of their heads, which had been ripped open, exposing their faces. Johnny's ankles appeared to be taped with black tape. Lisa's legs were not bound. Detective Kozak was called out to the house to begin the investigation.
Hello?
Hi, I can speak to Detective Kozak.
Yep.
Hi, it's the sheriff's office. 7 Charles is requesting you guys to respond to Longacre Lane.
Okay.
Basically, I guess, short story, basically we've had a few calls from this lady tonight concerned about her son. Finally, we just got a call. She's seen them tied up in the basement, and as far as we know, one person is dead right now.
Suicide, it sounds like?
I don't think it was a suicide. Sounds like some maybe like kidnapping or something like that.
Police found signs of a struggle on the first floor of the house. Cell phones had been broken, a clock was knocked off the wall, and a planter in the living room had been tipped over. The second floor, however, was fully ransacked. One bedroom in particular had pieces of the drywall broken, things knocked around, and items scattered. A jewelry box was opened with a watch sitting out. The nightstand drawers were pulled open and items were strewn about. The master bedroom closet had a dresser toppled over. Another bedroom on the upper floor showed signs of forced entry and was likewise described as being in disarray. The couple's Rottweiler pup was found safe inside. The dog warden came and collected him. There was an extensive list of items collected from the house to test for DNA and fingerprints, including the duct tape used to restrain Johnny and Lisa, a knife discovered inside a box in the snow by the garage, the broken cell phone parts strewn across the first floor, and notably, more than one cigarette butt, one of which was found by police sitting in the hallway just inside the door leading to the garage. Friends and acquaintances of Johnny and Lisa's were brought in for questioning in the weeks following. As Detective Kozak and colleagues began to piece together the couple's life and search for any potential motive, they also collected swabs of DNA from those they interviewed to test against the items taken from inside the house. Based on what Tiffany told the police, detectives believed that whoever pushed into the house that night at 10:41 p.m. was the murderer, and that Johnny probably knew them.
Did he sound like he was out of breath?
No,
Did he sound like he was scared or nervous?
no.
Did he sound like he knew them people?
That's why I said I think that whoever did it, he knew. Because, you know, if you knew Johnny,
How did he end the conversation with you?
Tip, I'm gonna call you back, and hung up.
Okay, now.
He didn't give me a
now
chance
what-
to
now
talk
what
or
does that-
anything.
Okay, he just hangs out, he says he'll call you back. Okay, which means he probably knows who's in the house.
Did you ever hear Johnny talking about a safe in that house?
Never once heard Johnny talk about a safe in the house. Never. I never heard Johnny talk about money being in that house. The only thing that Johnny ever bragged about was Lisa's family had money.
Okay.
That was the only thing.
A botched burglary was one theory being floated by the police. According to the Straub family, only two $20 bills that had been left sitting out near a change jar were actually missing. But rumors had circulated amongst Johnny's friends that Lisa's family was wealthy and owned a safe. There was no safe in the house, but 6 white envelopes containing $4.6 million in Iraqi dinars were found in the closet of the master bedroom. This was the equivalent of about $4,500 American dollars and was kept by Jeff Straub under his chest of drawers. So although a burglary could not be ruled out, investigators continued to explore a personal motive, which led them to Alexandra Cusino. Alex had recently had a spat with Johnny over the sale of his car, and according to others familiar with the argument, it had gotten quite heated.
Basically, I felt like he was putting me in a corner because he kept begging me to buy the car off him. Like, he really needs the money. I really need the money. I really need the money. I'm like, okay, well, I had the $1,500, but I didn't want to give him all my money, so I told him I'll give you half. So I tell him that, I'd rather wait. He's just pestering me, will not stop. Like, he's begging me, like, he's really literally begging me. Like, and I was, Johnny, like, what if you just, take off with my money, And so by the time we got back to Zach's house, we reached an agreement that I'd give him half money, $750. Well, I give him $750. Yeah, it's half. And that I would give him the other $750. And when I had it, basically. And then it was a big situation with his mom. His mom is like certifiably crazy.
You're talking about
Maite?
Yeah.
Yeah, certifiably crazy. Like, before this happened, she was nuts. Like,
Okay.
that night, everything was like, on eggshells with Maite about the car.
Right.
But the next day, things were fine. Like, it was a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal because she knows Johnny made that decision. And
Okay.
she couldn't
Well, it
really-
was Johnny's car.
Exactly.
He bought that money with his money, or
Yeah.
bought that car with his money.
She was just trying to, be a mom. And I understand,
Right.
though.
She
And
was
I told
looking
her
out to
personally,
make
like,
sure
I
that he
didn't,
didn't get
honestly,
taken.
I didn't even want to buy the car. Like, I felt Johnny just would not stop. Like, he was so incessant. It was just, I just, like, shut up, here, take it. Like, I don't even care. I do need the car. I got the money for it, so just shut up, please.
Okay,
Like,
all right, so you didn't pay him. The rest, because,
the car, the tire fell off.
did you hit something?
No,
Did you
no.
hit a pothole?
No,
Did you
I
hit a
was driving-
guardrail?
No, I didn't hit anything.
How long after you bought the car did the wheel fall
Like
off?
a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
Alex would later testify that Johnny was upset because he wanted his money for the car and I broke the car, now he's out of a car. And I was upset because I paid him money for a car that had broken down. The two fought over the phone. Alex said that Johnny threatened her to give the car back. Others who overheard also testified that Alex had threatened Lisa over the incident. Johnny's father collected the car back from Alex, and she had nothing more to do with him. Alex's theory was that someone murdered Johnny and Lisa over money that he owed. She says she does not know anything further, and she doesn't point the finger at anyone, despite the motivation being offered by detectives.
He probably owed money to a lot of people.
He might have.
Like,
Well-
I'm not talking about like a few hundred, I'm probably like thousands.
Well, we'll discuss that in a second. So, well, there's a lot of stuff
I wanna
that,
go to school,
this-
and I
this-
can't go to school
right,
if I'm
but
doing
this
something.
case,
This is serious.
there's a lot of things, if somebody was forthcoming with information,
It would put your pieces together and you.
right, but there's a lot that somebody like I, or Detective Lewandowski or somebody like that could do for that person. Not just, if they get hemmed up on something and they need help, and there's a substantial cash
Yeah, I know
reward
that.
out there. I mean, substantial.
Yeah.
That could set somebody up that wanted to go to school or was looking to move and get someplace, but if they knew something,
Alex also offered a swab for DNA testing and passed a polygraph. When the DNA test results come back, they identify one profile labeled Unknown Female Profile Number 1 inside Johnny's sweatshirt pocket, as well as on the duct tape from around Johnny's wrists. This duct tape also contained 2 more male profiles unidentified by police. Johnny's sweats had 2 more female profiles as well, both unknown. Half a dozen cigarette butts were collected from the property that contained DNA matches to known and unknown individuals. But the police focused in on one Newport cigarette butt that was out of place at the scene. Smoking was not allowed inside the Straub home, so this was out of place. It returned a 50-50 sample match to 2 men already on the police radar, Samuel Williams and Cameo Petaway. Sam Williams was already known to the police from previous arrests. Although only in his early 20s, he had gotten into some trouble early on and was in and out of jail for minor offenses, but nothing violent. Sam received his GED in 2010, and in autumn 2011, Sam was a full-time student studying sociology and criminal justice. He also ran in the same circles as Johnny and Lisa, though he may not have known them directly, but they had one friend and former friend in common that piqued investigators' interests: Alex Cusino. Detectives were further convinced of Sam's involvement when a mutual acquaintance, Anthony Watson, came to them 9 months after the murders with a story he heard from a female friend. Anthony was one of the many acquaintances called in for interviews and testing in the weeks after the crime. At that time, investigators seemed to be exploring a tip that Anthony's brother Chris may have been involved.
If I knew anything, I'd put it on my grandma's ashes, my grandpa's ashes. I don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I honestly, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, yeah, before it might have ran through my head, like, maybe Chris might have had something to do with it, but I you know what I'm saying? I don't think so.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think so.
Later in the year, Anthony returned with a story that Sam Williams and perhaps 2 others had gone to the Straub house in search of the family's rumored safe. When they couldn't find it, they started searching in the walls and turning things over.
I guess it wasn't faced, you know what I mean? I guess it wasn't seen by face, but it was, you know what I mean? I guess it was, from what it was, she told me they were masked up, you know what I mean?
Who was messed up?
Maxed up.
Oh, masked
Yeah.
up. Okay.
He confronted somebody.
Yeah, he got somebody when he walked out, and they pushed him back inside. They brought him back inside, and that's when it all went damage in the house.
And all she heard.
And they couldn't find shit. They couldn't find no safe, nothing. So I guess they started checking in walls and.
So it was a botched burglary after all, thought the police, and the assailants were familiar with the victims, though not directly connected. Shortly after coming forward with the information, a pending felony burglary charge against Anthony was reduced to a misdemeanor. There are no further details on how that negotiation took place or how the reduction in that charge was decided. Sam Williams was arrested and brought in for questioning. He was asked if he recognized a photo of the outside of the Straub house.
You've been advised of your rights and stuff. You're saying you've never been to that house. Can we get to the meat of what we want to talk to you about then? We
Little problem at that house last winter. Did you hear anything about it?
No.
Okay. A couple of kids were found dead in there. Young adults. And they were probably the victim of a burglary. They got bum rushed in the place. You know what we're talking about, bum rushed? Somebody just crashes in on you and maybe robs you or burglarizes your house. I mean, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what happened to these young couples.
So how did my name get brought up in this?
Science.
I don't understand. No.
Well, how can we explain that?
I have no idea.
You've never been to that house.
Never been to
You
that
don't know
house.
those kids.
I don't know them people.
And your DNA's in that house.
I don't know.
You have no idea?
Nope.
Do you understand where that puts you? Do you understand where this is going?
In September 2011, Sam pled not guilty to the murder charges. Shortly after, Cameo Petaway, the other 50% DNA match to the garage door cigarette butt, was also arrested and indicted as an accomplice. Jury trials for the 2 men took place simultaneously in July 2012 on different floors of the same courthouse. The mother of Cameo's child testified that the 2 men were best friends and spent a lot of time together. She said they both smoked Newport cigarettes, the same brand found inside the Straub house, and it was not uncommon for them to share one. The defense teams in both trials argued that there had been errors made in collecting evidence at the crime scene.
also raised the question of the quality of the evidence collected when Detective Phil Williams with the Lucas County Sheriff's Office took the stand. He took approximately 50 pictures of the crime scene that January night in 2011, one of the cigarette butt on the floor. So did another investigator. Defense attorneys say the photos show the cigarette butt was likely moved.
Without looking, you started to testify without looking at your actual photograph. You wouldn't know if that was a photograph that you took, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But it's possibly that could be the photograph.
I don't believe it is.
No other evidence.
There was nothing definitively showing that the cigarette butt found was left on the night of the murder or was deposited there by those that smoked it. Experts testified it could have come from elsewhere without leaving a trace of a third person's DNA. The defense also raised questions surrounding the amount of DNA found at the scene that remained unidentified. Notably, neither Sam or Cameo were the source of DNA on the duct tape that held the victims, nor the DNA on Johnny's clothing, or on the broken cell phones, or anywhere else in the house. After the state rested its case against Cameo Petaway, his defense team made a motion to dismiss under Rule 29, arguing that the burden of proof was not met and therefore the charges should be dropped. The judge agreed.
Judge Bates said there was just not enough evidence. The only evidence was that cigarette butt with Petaway and Samuel Williams' DNA on it. He said for 3 reasons. 1, the mobility of the cigarette butt. 2, it could have been left behind days before the killings. And 3, it did not prove Petaway was a part of Clarke's and Straub's murders. Now,
Johnny Clarke's mother was banned from the courtroom during Petaway's trial. At the time, Judge Bates believed that she couldn't control her emotions and would cause problems in the courthouse. We caught up with her tonight.
I want to say this to Judge Bates. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them do the evil without doing anything about it.
Johnny's mother, Mayte Clarke, says the prosecution was lazy and the dismissal was granted because the county prosecutor, Julia Bates, is the wife of the judge in the case. Clarke has sent a letter to Attorney General Mike DeWine asking him to investigate.
Nowhere else in Ohio's 88 counties does a judge in a court of common pleas hears cases involving his spouse as the county prosecutor.
She also says there were more people that were involved in the murders.
I believe 9.
As Cameo was released, Sam Williams' trial continued, and he faced the possibility of a death sentence if convicted. Unlike Cameo, the case against Sam rested on more than just the cigarette butt. While held at the Lucas County Jail awaiting his trial, another inmate, Eric Yingling, told detectives that Sam had confessed to the murders to him. Eric provided a detailed account of what Sam had allegedly told him. Most notably, as Detective Kozak would testify, Eric said that Sam found some foreign currency inside the house. The Iraqi dinars that Sam referred to as so damned insane, meaning Saddam Hussein's money. According to Eric, Sam left the money in the home because he did not know if it was real, and if it was, he didn't know how to convert it to US dollars. Detective Kozak testified the presence of foreign currency in the house was a detail never released publicly. Sam Williams claims an alibi for the night of the murders, though much of the evidence and affidavits supporting it were not produced until after his trial. At the time of his arrest, a woman he was seeing, Destiny Madrid, spoke to detectives and insisted that she was with Sam that night. They went to a local bar called The Bottom Line with others and then spent the night at the Bedford Hotel.
So we met up, took me out, went to the bar, had a couple drinks, went to his sister's house. Like I said, I want to say it's that same night that we went back to the Bedford Hotel, but I'm not sure if it's that night or the night after.
All right, what if I clear it up for you? What if I tell you that you're not on the video at the Bottom Line on that night?
What do you mean?
The Bottom Line has video.
Right.
You or Sam are not on that video that night inside the Bottom Line. Or whatever bar that was. Was it the Bottom Line? Yeah.
We were sitting right by the front door. Like, that table by the front door, it was like right there. There was 4 seats. And I don't know who the other guy that was with us, but I know it was me, Sam, and Larry. And then there was another person, but I don't know what his name was. But we were sitting, like, here's the door and the table, like, right there. We were sitting right there. Like,
what was on TV that night?
The NFC football game.
The Bottom Line bar does not have security cameras. Destiny is undeterred by the detective's bluff and continues to insist she was with Sam on the night of the murders. There is no record of the two staying at the Bedford Hotel on that night, however. The others present at the Bottom Line bar mentioned by Destiny, Sam's cousin Larry, and another friend named Edward, supported the alibi and provided affidavits stating this. They were with a third friend named Nick, who turned 21 years old, the legal drinking age, the next day, January 31st. Nick recalls that Sam purchased him a shot at the bar at midnight. Cell phone records show a call from Sam to Destiny at 10:27 p.m. that night, which pinged from a cell phone tower near the bar. Destiny says she was walking to the bar to meet with Sam when she received the call. The Bottom Line bar is a 30-minute drive from Longacre Lane in Holland, where 14 minutes later, at 10:41 p.m., Johnny Clarke would answer the call from Tiffany in his home while his murderer was entering the house. Support for Sam's alibi was gathered years later and therefore not presented clearly at his trial. He was found guilty of 2 counts of murder, kidnapping, and burglary. The jury, having been sequestered in the final portion of the trial, were released to their homes before returning to decide if Sam Williams should be sentenced to death.
You're not to watch TV. You are ordered to stay away from any type of social media. You are not to talk about this case with anyone. You're not to allow anyone to talk about this case to you. It is of critical importance that you remain free from any outside influence.
The jury deadlocked and was unable to reach a unanimous verdict on sentencing. After consideration, the trial court sentenced Sam to 2 consecutive terms of life in prison without the possibility of parole for the aggravated murder charges, 10-year terms of imprisonment for each of the kidnapping charges, and a 10-year term of imprisonment for the aggravated burglary charge. An investigative reporter sat down with Sam via video call in 2021 to hear his story. Sam said that far from confessing to Eric Yingling in the county jail, that the two barely spoke at all. He claims that Eric's wife researched his case online and must have discovered the details about the foreign currency on a website where he says the information had been available.
So all the things that he talked about at trial, that was all known? I guess it was in newspapers, it was known information?
Yes. To my knowledge, everything that he had brought up at trial had been either published in the newspaper or it was placed on search warrants and people could obtain that from public information.
Even the Iraqi dinar information?
Absolutely. They was talking about the Iraqi currency on a website called Mock Form.
What's the website called, Sam?
It's called Mock. I have it right here. I have the actual article. I had somebody print it off and send it to me.
The investigative report further claimed that Eric's charges were reduced and that he received money in exchange for his testimony against Sam. There were no further details on this deal. Sam says he still has hope that the truth will come out. He said he has no idea who committed the murders, but it wasn't him, and he blames investigators for focusing in on him the moment the DNA results were returned.